amigos, we are here. Where is everybody tuning in from tonight? We've got a bunch of eyeballs on the channel tonight. Got a lot of good stuff happening today. Real Migos, Migo number one, Ian of Austin. How are you today, sir?
Oh man, it's incredible. It's incredible. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so I just want to get into it. I'm doing well though. Thanks. How are you?
Oh, I just realized my mic is not the mic I thought it would
be. There we go. That should be.
That is a game changer. That's way better. I saw your earbud in and I thought you knew, but I was gonna.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta hit 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 to get this thing rolling. Sarah, the third Migo-ish. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy that my kids are back at school this week, and I'm excited to get into all the fun, yummy stuff that happened since I was last on.
Yummy. Yes, yummy is a good way to look at it. We got Stefan coming in from Austin, B&M. I'm going to guess B&M means Brad McCallum. Brad McCallum, welcome to the channel, man. Let's go. Bam. Rambo is here. All right, so we got a lot happening. If you watched the State of the Union address last night, just drop a comment below. Watched it, didn't watch it, whatever. We want to hear from you. We're going to start rolling here. And then I just want to get your thoughts on it. Just your basic thoughts, nothing crazy. And then what you heard of that. I want to hear a second comment about what you heard of that, how it might impact the markets, things like that. Aaron's going to be on here shortly. Don't worry. Aaron will be here shortly. All right. Sarah, we're going to kick it to you. So last week, Ian and I are in Vegas for a real estate conference. And all of a sudden, Ian and I, well, first of all, we all had to brave the ice apocalypse. My trees just got cut, which is sad. But Ian and I are in Vegas. And all of a sudden, my feed is filled with all these realtors. Rates are at 5.99%. Rates are at 5.5. No, oh, it's amazing. Under 6. And like my feed is just filled with realtors. And I'm like, I usually give it like 2 days before I say anything about rates. Yeah. The next day, I'm like, oh, we're at 6.1. We're at 6.2. We're at 6.4. Holy crap. What happened to all these low under 6% rates? Sarah, the angel of death when it comes to rates. Is that...
I need a t-shirt.
Yeah, sorry. The executioner of rates. What happened? Why would rates drop down so dramatically and then just spike right back up?
Yeah, sure. So we did have a nice decline, and that's what I was kind of predicting too. So we were on this nice little trajectory of rates slowly decreasing because the inflation reports were coming out. Inflation was being combated. We're seeing it slowly come down as well, and everything was on track. Then comes Friday, and Friday was a jobs report, and it was the BLS jobs report because earlier that previous Wednesday, the ADP jobs report came out, and it was in line. It was what we were expecting. It was about 106,000 job creations. Cool. Friday, the BLS comes out with their own report, and it has 196,000 job creations, which is like blew it out of the water. No one was expecting this number, and it was an insanely high number. And so we kind of
explain that. Explain how is an extremely high number.
So, I mean, we were expecting, like I said, with ADP, that was in line with about 106 job creations. So when you go from 106 expectation to 896, it's like, where did this come from? It just wasn't expected from previous data and data collected from other sources. So if you dive in deeper, which a lot of people don't know what to do, but if you are wanting some nice reading material at night, go to the BLS, which is the Bureau of Labor and Statistics job site. It's fun. You can dive in and see that they actually did adjustments to the job numbers. So they actually had 84,000 job creations, but then they adjusted for population control by 810,000. So there was 84,000 job creations, but then when you adjust for the population control of 810, that's how you got the 896. And so because of that adjustment by the BLS, that is what caused this really inflated number.
Remove the L.
Yeah. And so we actually were going to have unemployment go up, but because of this number, unemployment slightly went down, which isn't, I don't know about you, but if you're looking in the news, if you're talking to friends and family, you're hearing about layoffs. You're not hearing about all these job creations. And
Hold on. In my best Trump voice, it was an adjustment. That was terrible. I didn't even get it. I tried.
Really bad.
Yeah, I could do my Biden voice. There we go. Sorry.
But actually, what's also really interesting to point out with these numbers is 606 of those jobs are part-time and they're not full-time, which I think is huge. And then if you actually net and compare the netted out numbers, and I thought this was really interesting, there's more full-time jobs last May. So May of 2022, there was more full-time jobs than there are today, meaning that not one full-time job has been created on net over this time span. So that jobs report is very inflated. So it makes it look like we're not combating inflation. It makes people wary that look of it. There might be wage inflation issues, which again would add to inflation, not help decreasing it, which is what the goal is. So over the weekend, there was a lot of international trading and global trading because there's a global yield. So we had the Bank of England. We also have the Regional Bank of Australia, the Reserve Bank of Australia, excuse me. They see this. They don't know like the nitty gritty of the adjustments. So now they're like, oh no, we're going to go off of that. They're not combating inflation. So now we're overshooting. So then that also on Monday made the mortgage-backed securities for us worse. So that caused our interest rates to be even more worse than would have happened with just that jobs report. So, but good news is we had people are starting to see because word is getting out about the adjustments. So that's good. And so people are starting to correct a little bit.
So this rate spike, actually, Ian, let me get your thoughts. Go ahead and expand on any of that. Welcome to join the channel.
I think, as Sarah pointed out, it sounds like there was, I'm not going to say misinformation, but we were talking about it before the channel before we started the live, that the information was not disseminated correctly. And so the adjustments are not indicative of what's actually happening. And that's always worrisome. There's a line, hold on, I wrote this down. Here's his line. Jerome Powell said, a potential pause would be premature. That sounds off to me. So I'm curious to hear more about what's going on with the rates from Sarah.
Yeah. And the good news is that Jerome Powell, when he did speak yesterday, that helped because everyone looks to what the Fed chair says and they react and the market reacts. And so he came out and basically said, we're not going to look at this jobs report. We're just going to look at the data. Now, if we have another positive jobs report, that's something that will cause us to pause. And we might need to have a longer Fed fund increase or a higher Fed fund increase in the future. But right now, we're not going to pay attention to this jobs report. We're looking at the other data and everything else shows inflation is starting to be tackled. And we're starting to see disinflation, which is good. And that's what the market's liked.
So yeah. Matt in the comments, he says he's probably going to hike it again. So we know that they were on a path to hike at 75 basis points. This time 25 basis points, right? So I think question in the comment is, what do you think they're going to move it to? Or do you think they're going to continue with the lower rate hikes?
I haven't heard any talks about what that number is going to be next time yet. I think they're going to stay on track right now, and then they're going to see what the next number is. I will say that one of the big dates to look out for is May 10th because of the year over year in numbers. May 10th should be a really good date, just like November 10th was, where we should start seeing a larger decrease in mortgage interest rates because of inflation data and inflation numbers.
And just because I thought it was hilarious what Ram said, I want to post it in the private chat here. If you can pull it up, Jeremy. Okay. There's a chart for the inflation price just for eggs. Like we just watched the chart for eggs. I thought that was really funny. I put it in the private chat.
Oh yeah, give me a second. I got a multi-screens here to move out of. So yeah, so before we get over there, here's what rates did, and I'll show you where this was the day right here. Boom. Thursday, everybody went nuts because the 30-year finally dropped under. But if you look at it today,
for like 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the
it went
problem.
down from 6.45 down to 6.42. So
And here's the thing. So you mentioned this earlier. All the realtors, we were all sitting at a convention. One person saw it, and then it just spread like wildfire. What does that do to the consumer trust when they're watching realtors and they're all like, go, buy now, go, rates are down. And then all of a sudden it climbs right back up. What does that do?
I mean, Jeremy, were you gonna?
no, I mean, I think this is why, like, I think it's important that not just realtors, did I get the right one? No, I did it wrong again. I think it's important for not just realtors, but to everyone when news comes out, to take a pause, think about it, and look at it before everybody jumps to one side. Like, oh, here's what this, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so this is just a prime example. Like, and I don't blame realtors because I saw it and I was like, oh, I got to do this, but I had a million things on my mind and I decided to wait. Luckily, I waited, but I think this just goes to show how volatile the market is and what we're going to look and see this year.
Here's where I'm going with that. I think we all learned a lesson with the pandemic, with how the information, it's like there would be a little bit of information, people would jump on it, someone would say that's not true, and they'd say never mind. And that's kind of what happened here. Like, oh, wait, we made a mistake. Oh, wait, the numbers were off. And so now people just, it loses, trust erodes from our industry. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. So I really like what you just said. Slow down, take it in, learn to disseminate it. Don't just focus on the headlines, focus on the information and see how we can best serve our clients. People that are watching and hoping that we bring them good information.
I agree with that because everything has been so, like, if there's like when everything comes out or if there's a headline, everyone's so quick and all the news and like the rates and the mortgage-backed securities have been really quick to act. And then if you just wait a little bit, for instance, like Friday, everything went crazy, right? And then after Powell talked yesterday, and then after we had a really great 10-year bond auction today, we are starting to see it helped mortgage-backed securities, and we're starting to see some gains. And it hasn't, we haven't replaced the losses from the jobs report that came out Friday, but we're still heading towards that way, which is great. And because people are trying to stop, digest the data, et cetera. I also think, to your point about trust, is that's another reason why it's really good to have a lender partner that you're working with, because I know that with my clients, I have these conversations and I'm like, I don't have a crystal ball. This is just what's based on the economic data and everything that's happening now. This is what we're looking for. I mean, this is what we're looking at. And I think to set those proper expectations up front. And I think it's good if you can work together in a team with someone like that. So your borrower has that trust of like, okay, Sarah warned me about that, or Jeremy or Ian or whoever it is. So they're not, feeling they're ill-informed.
So I guess the bigger question is, I mean, you alluded to it and said some things earlier, but we started this year. Ian and I both saw an uptick in buyers at the beginning of the year. There was an uptick in mortgage applications, I believe, last week. I don't know, maybe the 2 rate hikes, it dropped. So we saw a jump in, and this is what a lot of people follow to see what buyer demand is. But for the first 2 weeks of the year, we saw a huge jump in applications, and then it dropped off last week. And now we have rates going back up. Do you think that people are still as excited from this whole last month to now to maybe jump back in and buy? Or are they going to wait? I mean, you in the chat, drop a comment. I want to hear from you as far as your thoughts, if you are in the process of looking to buy or whatever, because I have several people that reach out to me. So ultimately, I guess the question is, with all of this information we're getting so far at the beginning of the year, I hate to sit and look and go, okay, this is what's going to happen. But what do you think is going to happen over the next 4 or 5 months with rates and with the market?
Yeah.
What's interesting? I kind of watch some of the CEOs of other companies talk about what's going on in their company, because that leads me to, learn more about what jobs are coming to the area and all that, right? So I was listening to the Uber CEO. So he said that they have 26% growth this year. I was like, that's healthy. That's healthy, right? So here's where I have to pause and think about the information. It's like, okay, well, who takes Ubers? Right? Is it your regular family that lives in single family residences Like, is that a common case, or is it more the renters or people that own a condo downtown? Right. So
Yeah.
that has me curious about like how that actually impacts the market. So while consumer spending is good, if the consumers that are spending aren't the people that are investing, again, I don't know this. I'm just listening to the information, trying to understand like how that can impact us. I think we're all doing that.
Right. Kelsey right here says that she's looking. Kelsey, in the chat, do me a favor, drop your experience so far, right? I'm curious to see what you're seeing, because I've had a couple people on the comment section of my videos comment that they're having a tough time. One person in particular said they're on their 7th offer already at the beginning of the year. So, loans with Sarah, what's your take?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting. So far, the people that I've seen that I've pre-qualified that are house hunting and looking right now, I've seen an uptick since the beginning of the year as well, with the news that rates, are going down. And I think the nice part is, though, I've seen so many negotiations that are better for the buyer as far as seller pay closing costs, or there's been price decreases. So some people have been able to buy homes. Like, I've had some people under contract for like homes in 300,000s, homes in 200,000s. And I was really surprised. I didn't think I'd be seeing that for a really long time. I haven't seen that in a long time. So I think there are some people that are still hesitant, especially people that are maybe that have high debt to income ratios, that are very budget conscious, that absolutely cannot go above a certain monthly payment. But I think that it still is a good time for buyers to buy and and maybe still negotiate. But I'm seeing that kind of start tailing off, though, too. I think it depends on the neighborhood. It depends on pockets, because there's some pockets where I have people saying that they got outbid. I have one guy that said that he got outbid this weekend, and it's like, 2021 all over again for him. And I was like, whoa, that's the first time I heard that. I have other people that haven't had multiple offer situations and been able to negotiate some really great deals for the buyers. So I really think that there's some pocket neighborhoods popping up, and you guys can tell me, you probably know more than I do, where there is more competition than others. And also, just to put it out there, because I know it's come up, is for the first time I had 2 appraisals come in, one in Manor, where it came in as a declining market. And then another one in San Antonio, which came in as declining market, but it made value. The property made value. And even the appraiser said, made a note like, I don't see the value being affected by this, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah,
that's
last week I put in an offer, and when I called the agent, I said, how's it doing? How are we doing? And she said, we have 4 offers and they're cash. I was like, what? And so I didn't win that one, like my client and I.
That is a great thing to point out, that there was 4 offers that were cash. That means one person is going to win that. There's 3 other people in that price range looking for cash right now. So that, traditionally we see a little over 20% of purchases are actually cash in the Austin area. So were those investors? Did they say whether they were investors or not, Ian?
They didn't, but it was it was a resale community. I want to say it was Cedar Park or Leander area.
Yeah.
And price points were around the 5s, right? And so for them to be dropping that much cash, I don't think that's an investor neighborhood. Yeah. It didn't seem like an investor neighborhood. So
then that goes back to, is it somebody that sold their house at the peak that's been waiting, coming back? And I want to circle back to one of the things Sarah said. So Sarah said that we're starting to see more buyers under contract in the 300s and 400s. That's actually a really great point, because a couple of listings we just had, one was listed at 525, and it's over that 500 mark, and it sat for 2 weeks. We went under contract, but it sat for 2 weeks. But it went under contract, I guess is the point. I had another one I listed. We were going to list it at 340. We decided to list it at 325 because the reality is it's so hard to gauge if the market was going to keep going down at that point in early January. So we wanted to price it a little bit lower and get multiple offers. And sure enough, like way over list price. So I saw the market bouncing back. Now, I don't want people to go, oh God, these realtors are just telling me to get FOMO and go out and buy. No, like the reality, and somebody even said it right here. Alex, thank you for commenting. Activity has been picking up over the but the crazy bidding war seems to be over. People might go over a few thousands or asking, but not 50 grand over. I mean, we just had a cash offer we wrote that was had three offers, and we were 25 grand below list price even then. And we were all about to get it, like even at 25 grand below list price. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Ian, as far as like stuff really just starting to pop right now?
You got to be really careful when you say like 50,000 over, because what happens is that's a relative number. So think in percentages, right? So if a house is 800,000, 50 grand over, what might happen, especially let's say it's a builder home and they've dropped the price 4 times. And then from there, someone puts in an offer or 2 people put in an offer and it ends up going back up. That's still below what they had it listed at. But they might put in over, like they might actually be bidding against that property. So the 50 grand over is interesting. If it's $1 million home, 50 grand over isn't a whole lot.
Right. Kelsey, I want to ask you one quick question on this. She writes, well, honestly, I'm a little hesitant. Earlier, we asked her her experience in the market. I'm a little hesitant. I think I can get over this. My agent is telling me to completely ignore those internet prices. Can't help but feel discouraged sometimes. So my question when they're saying that, as far as like, okay, being listed at 500, we can offer less, or I'm a little confused on the internet prices. Is it just that things are too high? So I wanted to ask a question on that. Do you think we're going to keep seeing stuff sell under list price? Because I mean, we're down to 525 as of December, and this is for you too, Sarah, because you're in this as well. But our median in Austin now is 525, and inventory has actually come down. I know Reventures out there telling everybody inventory is up. As you guys talk, I'll pull up the slide showing the inventory is coming down. But I pulled it from August. From August, we saw a drop in inventory from August all the way down to December. Obviously, we don't have January's numbers. But Ian, go ahead.
Ask the specific question.
Do you think that we're going to still see a lot of under list price offers?
Oh, okay. So, well, we talked about this on almost every episode in the last 4 or 5 months, where real estate agents, that we're going through kind of an attrition, and agents are getting more educated. Agents are falling out of the market. And who's pricing these homes? Agents. So we got to be careful with, can I say the C word? Pandemic babies.
Yeah, they don't. They don't fine for that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So like some of the pandemic agents that started in 2020, and they're just doing what everybody else is doing. And listen, this is not all. This is just a large majority, right? People that are coming in, pricing things because everyone else is doing it. Builders pricing things because everyone else is doing it. Now we actually have to scale back, educate ourselves, and price it comparable to the market, like an appraiser is going to look at it. We were going through, and appraisers were like, yeah, just go. You're good. You're good. You're good. And now, like Sarah said, they're scaling back. They're looking at it, and we might get a few passes here and there, but there's a little more caution in the wind. And so I think with that, our prices are going to start to be a little more normalized instead of erratic as they have been over the last couple of years.
So before you answer, Sarah, I want to make a quick point. Rambo asked how many of that is expired listings. So real quick, let me show you this. So this is on the 7-day average, but on the 7 days, we've had 739 lists and about 877 go under contract. So we have more go under contract, 232 pulled off the market, 170 withdrawn. So yeah, you're right. If you look at this over the last 7 days, you have we'll call that 400, 520. 520 they've been pulled off, 875 they went under contract, and only 739 new. And if you look, this is what's interesting to me, Ian, is price decreases. We were seeing price decreases in the 12 to 1,300 a week or more, and now we're down to 881. So it seems like they've cooled down on price increases. But if you look at this,
look at the number below it, though. Before you go back, look at the number below it.
8,881. If you know, almost every episode I show you this number, and we were at over 10,000 for a couple months, and now we're down under 8,800. But you asked me about the main page. Go ahead, Ian.
So look at that number under the price decrease. The increase.
Oh yeah.
What? 200 houses an increase in price. So when does that happen? Builders? Is that it?
Builders. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
it,
look,
right? Like
if we look at the
increases
data,
the price on a home.
if we look at
So
the data
builders,
here,
like we
I
hear
had
all
to
these. Sorry.
go ahead. Keep going.
We hear all this information about. So I was listening to Bam earlier, and he was talking about the builder confidence is at 49%, down 49%. But then when you look in Austin specifically, builders are like, we're good. We're just going to start raising the prices a little bit because people need to buy, But how far did they drop before they started doing that? Right?
Yeah.
And what's their baseline price? Maybe that's part of the strategy, because builders, listen, people, they're smart, right? They will start at a number and then know that every couple houses that they sell, they can go up and up and up. And that increases the FOMO for you, so that you're like, oh, I need to get in and do it now before the next phase happens, or before the prices go up,
Well,
or before the incentives are gone.
to answer your question, 108, almost 185 of those were new construction.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Of those 220 something. So
the others were
what happened to all the comments?
Logistic mistakes.
Right.
I've seen that before. They put in the price for $200 instead of 200,000.
Yeah.
I've seen
It's
that.
like, wait, what?
I had a borrower send it to me once and be like, I want this house. And I'm like, I don't think that's right.
I mean, I've done the put it in for $1,990,000, and then on accident realized it was only 990,000. But and we didn't get an answer from you, Sarah, on the question that I don't remember I asked.
I'm trying to remember what the question was myself. Ian, what was the question that you so eloquently answered?
Yeah, that was.
Didn't ask me that. Something about, I don't know, inventory and confidence. I don't know. Let's move on to the next. What's the next thing?
Oh yeah, well, I think that was where we were at. Is that inventory has come down now?
Well, hold on.
Well, hold on.
Party just started.
Party is now started. Aaron's here. All right, there you go, Aaron. See, Aaron, I'm the one that clicks the buttons, not Ian. So just so you're aware. So inventory's dropped down a little bit. I remember, and here's where I want to be very careful about this year, because we remember last year we were like, hey, there's only 1,900 homes on the market this time of year, and then it went crazy. So we're starting at triple that. Inventory has come down. We are starting to see this spike of interest. We saw the same spike of interest last year at this time. I think it was way crazier at the beginning of the year last year, just because we only had 2,000 homes on the market. But do you think we're going to keep seeing this crazy? I'll start with you this time, Sarah. Do you think we're going to keep seeing this crazy frenzy of buyers out over the next, our cycle usually is until July. So do you think this amount of people are going to be out bumping the price back up all the way through July?
I think that if interest rates have a continual downtrend, I think that that it will cause an increase in people looking and putting in offers and getting off the fence, and it could bump those prices up, because I feel that after what happened last year, starting, it was around like Memorial Day last year, right, where there was a big shift, and then it took into like the end of until like November 10th of 2022, where we were saying, rates are starting to come down, but people are still on the fence. And I think a lot of people held off on their job search and took a pause. So I do think that we're going to start seeing an increase. Granted, let's forget about what happened Friday. We're starting to recover a little bit from that already. Overall, we still have a downtrend in rates. So I think if that continues, that we are going to see people increasing, getting out there, putting in offers, and it's going to affect pricing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember the question there,
but I think we were talking about prices, right?
Yeah.
One of the stats I'm looking at right now is average days on market, and for the first time since 2019, there's a longer average days on market. So I think paying attention to days on market and paying attention to the amount of homes that are available in the Austin market will help give people an idea. This is specific to Aaron's question and kind of anybody, if you have to pull the trigger, right? So like to use data as a perspective, you can say, all right, well, right now we have 4 times the amount of homes available on the market, We have a small amount that are increasing in price, but most of them have decreased in price. And the time to sell is the longest it's been in 5 years. So what are we watching from that information?
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if anybody watched my video from yesterday. I highly recommend watching it and actually sharing it, because I broke down the numbers as far, and I have, if there's specific zip codes people are looking for, I'm only telling my friends on this because I have a lot of people reach out to me and they just want free information all the time. I run a business. I just can't give people free information, but it takes away from my clients. But in the comments, if you want, I can share a link to some of the data points I pulled. But I just wanted to show, and I really wish I would have said in this video yesterday, this is how easy it is to manipulate data. This is why Reventure gets away with it. Because I went to the peak of the market and said, look, here was the peak of the market. Here's where we're at now. Instead of going year over year, that's a little more specific data. Now, if you look at the median, I have a problem with that ABOR always puts out median instead of average, and they don't look at some things. What's really interesting to me is that if you were to look at actual resale home sales versus the combined median, they're actually completely different. So anyway, what I wanted to make a point is that we really don't know what's going to happen with this market going forward, but I hate to give people the false hope that, yes, it's going to be an amazing year. And I don't want to do that, but I had a conversation with the buyer last night. We were on a call and I said, look, I would recommend if you're an investor and you really just have time to wait, maybe wait it out to October and see where things are. If you find the right home that meets all the criteria, then hop on it now. Because the reality is we're at a 35% discount in a lot of zip codes right now, based on the information I pulled from that video, right? We are at a 34 on a lot of zip codes. We're at a 34% drop. So do you think those prices are going to go down any further from 34% is the question. Aaron, I'm going to pull up I'm going to pull it up right here. You can screenshot it. So here's the information I pulled. Now, these are all the zip codes that I pulled. I have more information than this, but if you look, 78746 actually went up 66%. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
But if you look at 78733, they dropped $322,000. Isn't that crazy? I mean, we're talking 34, 35%. Oh, I didn't give you the full list. Here we go. There you go. So 34% on the top line in some of these zip codes. So I think it's really important that we look at this data and know, hey, some zip codes have 35% discount. How much do you think it's going to go down from here? Because that kind of gives you an idea too. And I'm the only one that has that data, unless you screenshotted that like I told you to. I'm the only one that has that data out there. I'm the only one that's put it together. So anyway, what do y'all think about prices being 35% down from the peak?
I think it's super interesting because all the data that I have is national data. So everything that I'm a part of is, so I love that you have more specific data to our area, because when I look at, CoreLogic numbers, it's like, oh, from the peak, we're down 3% in price. And then CoreLogic projects that in 2023 will be up 3% in price, but that's national. So based off what you sent us, I'd be really interested in looking at those zip codes that are down and the ones that are up, and what makes the ones and what differentiates them. As far as is it schools? Is it neighborhoods? Is it, location of jobs now that more people are back to work and less people are remote? I would just be really curious on what makes those more desirable. And I mean, I would love to buy an investment where it has a 35% decrease if I was looking for a deal.
What's funny is, sorry, I had to give Aaron a hard time in the comment there. So that was part of the thing I looked at when I was looking at the zip codes. Is I'm like, all right, where am I going to find a deal? And I'll give you a prime example here. In 78759, this is the one that saw the biggest decrease from 900,000 down to 593. You find me a good looking house in 78759 for that price, and I'll buy it.
That's by the domain, yeah.
It's by the domain, yeah. 78759. It's next to the domain. The other one that was
let's do it.
The other one was in.
Well, so hold on, pause on that for a minute.
Yeah.
So while it's by the domain, that's high growth area. You know what's leaving that area?
Yeah, it's how
IBM.
IBM's leaving that little area right there.
So they're working on a new hub area. It won't be done until 2027, right? But what does that mean for that area, right? It is a super high growth area. I'm going to say check your school ratings, and then you got to think about like what's going to happen with that space if they turn it into like right now it's it's like a factory, a plant, right? I mean, I know it's mostly office workers, but still it's empty. Like anytime you have a big empty building like that, it's kind of a waste of space and eyesore, all that. So I'm curious what they're going to end up doing with it. If it becomes, I don't know, part of Project Connect, train line stuff, who knows what they're going to do. But that will severely impact
Do they
the
need
value
another?
of the properties around it.
Do they need another hotel for the unhoused or homeless, whatever you want to call it?
If it's the second downtown, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what they do with everything now. But all right, I want to get to this point because you just brought this up. So Dell is going to be dropping off. I don't know why you can't get this stupid thing off of there. But Dell is going to drop, 600, about 5% of their workforce layoff here in the Austin area. I got a plethora of other kind of little, not that one. Not that one. Oh, I got more information. So that's one of the biggest ones that just announced that they're laying off. You know, in this whole vein of everything we're looking at, how do you think layoffs are going to impact us in congruence with, you know, maybe interest rates not dropping as fast as we thought? Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious. In that article, did it specify of those layoffs how many are employees that actually live in Austin versus remote at all?
Nope.
Okay. That's because I've seen, Dell, Google.
They said that in the article, it says Austin and Round Rock suburbs employ 13,000.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that if people lose their jobs, that's obviously impactful. But I think the good news is that we still have people moving to Austin, and we have, it's such a tech hub that there are jobs available too that I've seen. So it'll be really interesting how that affects. I mean, obviously they're not bringing more people into Austin, but do we need more people being brought in? I feel like there's enough people here looking for housing as it is. I mean, that might be a really silly way to look at it. I'm sorry.
You also got to think about like what the jobs are. So Dell, like, are we talking about manufacturing jobs? Are we talking about C-suite? We're not talking about C-suite jobs. But then like the number one employer in Austin is actually HEB, right? Next to the government. I think it's HEB. So their jobs, I know they pay well for what they are, but it's not well enough to buy a $1.3 million house. Right. So it will take, some of the higher paying jobs. I don't know if the jobs that are being released, like what percentage of them are higher paying versus
So how much are renters, how much are owners, how much are potential buyers?
And then like how many people have been here for years and are Dellionaires, we call them, right? So they're Dellionaires and they actually have 4 or 5 rental properties.
It's interesting. One of my clients was one of the first 5 people at a major company. I don't want to say which one, but you use it to search things daily. And it's amazing how much being in early can make you money. Like, getting in early to a company called Real Broker, if you're a realtor. Anyway, Ian, so what other layoffs do you think are on the horizon here in Austin? Actually, Sarah, we didn't hear from you. Actually, we did hear from you. God,
yeah.
Am I drunk? I have not had anything to drink yet. This is water, by the way. A long day.
You're catching me off guard just a little bit. So Aaron keeps talking about this Lakeside Meadows. So they just assigned a new director for the community. And so I'm like stalking her on Twitter. I'm looking for all the directors, because if we can find that information, then we can find.
Be careful who you'd say openly on a forum that you're stalking online. But go ahead.
Oh, sorry, stalking is the wrong word. Researching, investigating.
Yeah.
So what was the question?
I have no idea, man. This show's going off the rails.
Something about jobs. Who do I think is going
potential
to
layoffs?
Lay off. You know, I find that question tough because I go into a lot of places still to this day, and they're working a skeleton crew, and they have job signs all over the place. They're like, we need 3 more people right now, like yesterday. And I don't understand it. Now, I do understand it because they're not jobs that are paying what people would call a living wage, but also they're jobs and they're more than 0 wage, right? So, but those are
I like that.
typically
Their
like
job, they're more than 0 wage.
I mean, it is. And it also, I mean, there's a lot to it. I don't know about the major companies. So let's see.
Well, I have this one right here. We had
Boring Company. Oh, so when we were in Vegas, I took the Boring Company tunnel. This is kind of a segue. But we know that they're investing heavily in Bastrop, right? They're building all their stuff over there. I'm gonna tell you something. Like theoretically, incredible, right? In actuality, it was a little underwhelming. And I never say that about like Tesla type products, right? But it was a little underwhelming. But I see the potential there. And so if Boring Company, we're not talking about let goes, we're talking about growth, right? But if Boring Company ends up growing where I think they are going to because of what they are doing, that's going to impact Austin in a large way. And Stefan, he was talking about the Austin airport. Yes, Austin airport, they're adding more terminals. It's already international, but now we've got flights to London for $600 round trip. And not London, Amsterdam, $600 round trip. So yeah, like we need this.
Oh, you're flying to Amsterdam soon?
I've been there a few times. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I'll go again. So just like there is a lot.
Were you in the red light district or the green light district?
Green light district. Well, I mean, you go on tour and you see everything. So I'll just say
yeah.
I got kicked out.
We went on tour.
That's a different story for another day.
Yeah. I would, we were just in Vegas. I saw you get kicked out a lot of places.
I got kicked out everywhere.
Having too much fun in Vegas, Ian?
Yeah.
No, it's the counting cards that they didn't like.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently when you tell people openly at the card table that you're Rain Man.
Dead serious. We were at one of the, we were at a roulette table and there were 2 young ladies there. They had no clue how to gamble. So I was teaching them that. And then the manager comes over and we were in the middle of taking a picture. Not a good look because you're not supposed to do that at any of the tables.
Yeah. Man, you're just messing it all up over there.
It's bad.
Don't you know the rules, Ian?
Listen, what is it? Beg for forgiveness? I'll be fine.
Yeah, it's easier to beg for permit or yes.
And it's
beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Cirque du Soleil, and we were like at the stage, right at the front of the stage. And sure enough, we were pulling one of these numbers.
And you got kicked out.
Well, no. It all broke. I don't think it was our fault. Everything broke. There was a guy that was
Ian backflipped into a poker table.
I got to meet one of the acrobats though, so it was really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not a big Vegas guy, but I had a lot of fun this time. I don't gamble. I don't like to gamble. I like to know where my money's going. I'm one of those weirdos. So
I'm with you. I didn't gamble. I showed other people how to gamble.
Nice.
I didn't gamble at all.
Nice. Well, now that we were talking about gambling, let's talk about this gamble. So
yes.
There's a plan to build Far South Congress. It's way bigger. So there's this little area off Boggy Creek. What is this? Fremont Drive. Let me see if I can find the area on here. But they're looking at bringing 155 homes in here. It's off South Congress, 43 acre site. They're gonna do a garage, office. Yeah. What do you think about something like this? I thought this site was already there. Oh, this is West Dittmer Road. Man, this is far south. There's HEB's right there. HEB's right next to it.
Yeah, this is genius. So the reason why they're building it is they're investing in where Project Connect is. All goes back to like Project Connect, right? Where we know that they were borrowing a lot of money from us to build these rail systems. And then they were like, whoops, it's double. So that's okay if they actually build something. I mean, I don't know if it's okay for everybody, but I like that. Anytime there's a live, work, play, this is when I talk to my investors, I say, if we know that there's going to be a live, work, play area coming soon, that to me is a trigger. Corridor areas and live, work, play areas are triggers for paying close attention and considering an investment.
Look at this location though. Like this is a pretty dope
Yeah,
location.
South Congress?
I messed it up. Yeah. Oh, it's right here. Is that it?
Yeah, south of William Cannon.
Yeah, but look at this location. So right here, I mean, you're going to put in mixed use. God, stop it. But this little spot right here is a great spot because you're right off of Mopac, and hopefully they'll keep some of this green space back here. Speaking of green space, I lost a bunch of trees. I just cut them down. It was so sad.
Are you talking about in Vegas still?
No, I just lost a bunch of trees from that stupid freeze last week. Yeah, by the way, the weather in here can get pretty crazy. But yeah, this is as a really cool location. So what do you think? Okay, I cut you off, but I wanted to show the location. Go ahead. Yeah,
I mean,
you were
what's the
talking about
question? What do I think? I think it's a genius move.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, anytime there's a live, work, play area, if built well, and you mentioned green space, that's actually a huge trend right now for almost all of the projects that I'm seeing, is they're including green space in it as part of the wellness and health of the area, which is good. I think all of those bring Austin back. This goes back, like this is nostalgia here. This goes back to, is Austin still cool? Right? Because what you're doing is you're building these live, work, play areas, and you're enhancing the quality of life for people. And then hopefully, as long as they don't put an Hermes and a Torchy's Tacos on every single corner, as long as they don't do that, and they let little mom and pop shops or these creative shops or something other than Starbucks and Summer Moon. I like me some Summer Moon, I'm saying. But if they put something else and they just stay eclectic with it, there's a whole lot of potential here, a whole lot.
Speaking of Summer Moon, Ian, I'm going to go hang out at Cosmic Coffee on Monday morning.
That's where I'm going. Not Monday. We're going later, but I guess
okay.
I'll have to see you. I'll have to come down there.
I usually
cool.
like.
Wait, am I invited?
Kevin.
It's a big place.
Well, no, I'm meeting our team members there in the morning, but yeah, I'll be there for a while. Small business for the win. Speaking of small business, I saw this article and it was a takeaway from Biden's talk about the State of the Union address. It's kind of interesting, but what are your thoughts on some of the stuff that he talked about as far as like the CHIPS Act? What else did they have on? One thing that was really interesting he talked about was the unionization. I always find it funny how unions pay one party more than the other, and then they always promote unions. So that's why they don't like Tesla, because Tesla is not a union, but they want to promote unions, yet Tesla's better cars. Anyway, I find that funny.
Yeah.
But it was a construction thing.
GM is doing everything, right? Tesla has done nothing.
Yeah, right. So I want to get your both of you. We'll start with Sarah. So in the talk, they were talking about construction and why the labor for construction was not unionizing, and Biden wanted construction, I guess, to unionize. Are construction workers here on a work visa?
I don't feel like that.
I feel like I can't properly respond to that question.
Yeah. But what were some of the thoughts on, I don't know, anything that would impact small businesses or business owners in his talk?
So, I mean, I'll be really frank. I didn't get to listen to all of his talk. When the stuff that I did listen to was mainly about how we've both seen about job creation, and it was the fastest rate of creation and things like that. Which again, I feel like a lot of numbers and facts and figures were cherry picked, which I think, but I mean, like honestly, what politician doesn't do that, to be fair? But what I caught as part of that was about how they're trying to boast about job creations being the fastest over the last 4 years of any president, which if you do the percentages of that, that's not accurate. I think it was actually like Carter administration where that was accurate. And also when you're coming out of post-pandemic, where a lot of people couldn't work, they're on furloughed, all these other things. I mean, you're going to have job creations naturally. So I don't think that you could really take a lot of credit for that. And then when it talked, and then the stuff about the deficit as well. And I can get into that if you want, but I think we kind of all know where that's going.
I wonder if those numbers are adjusted for the people, like for the boomers, the largest asset holding class that maybe in the years where they don't need to work.
I mean, that's a good question. That would be something really interesting to look into. Let's see.
$23 billion plumbing company Jackson Shaw building 67 acres near the airport. Plumbing, it's good, right?
I can't hear Jeremy.
Silent.
Sorry, I was making a bunch of noise and I had to mute myself. But how much? I mean, how good are those jobs though? Like, what does that actually bring to the area? I guess that would be my question.
Unionized plumbers make a grip. They make a lot of money.
That's right. Plumbers do make a lot of money.
And they're in high demand. I told you my water heater exploded while we were in Vegas, right? Like as we were taking off on the plane, right? I had Wi-Fi for a second. My wife goes, yeah, the water heater's out. It's like, nice. The ceiling's leaking. Nice. So it's 3 stories up. And then, anyway, there's people coming to replace my ceiling and everything tomorrow. It's fun.
Sarah, what are you fact checking over there?
I wrote notes. Like I wrote because I like to be able to give like real like data and be like, okay, this is where I got it from. This is what these numbers are. So it's that way I'm not over here just sounding like I'm making stuff up because I feel like that's important. So
yeah. Okay. Well, I want to hear from you in the comments too. I want to hear. I enjoy the comments that are here, especially Aaron when he writes really spicy comments when we have potential mayors on. do you remember that, Ian? That was fun.
Fantastic.
That was actually.
We should do more of that.
You know what's funny is I was trying to get the new mayor, what's his name, on the channel during the elections. What's the new mayor's name? I don't even know his name. I just left Austin. What's the stupid new mayor's name? You know, who's the friend, the Googs. Yeah. Anyway, so I was trying to get him on to kind of, yeah. Why would he come on if you don't even know his name? Smart. I just thought of that. But fine. I tried to get him on. He wouldn't come on. Kirk Watson. There you go. He wouldn't come on because of Aaron. So he didn't want to answer Aaron's question.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. I believe it. What else you got, Sarah? Let's talk some more. I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. I'm just kidding.
Sure. I mean, I'm really interested to see what you guys have been seeing as far. Oh, all right. Bye. Well, hi, Ian. It's just you and me now. Yeah. Now that Jeremy's gone. No, but Ian, I know you focus in North Austin, and you kind of focus North Georgetown, all that, right?
Sure.
So what are your feelings on the Manor area right now? Because I've had a lot more people interested in that area. And that's one of the areas that I got the decrease, appreciation decrease and all that stuff. So I'm curious.
So Manor is a hit or miss. So there's a lot of new construction happening over there. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. And that's exciting. The price points are generally lower. And listen, these are general statements. Don't take these words as fact. General statements, okay? You have price points that are generally lower, tax rates that are generally higher. In fact, Manor is home to one of the highest tax rates in the Austin area. There was a neighborhood where the houses were let's say 30% lower than everywhere else I was looking. I was like, why are they so cheap? And nobody was letting them go, but it was like a HUD project or something like that. And so the tax rates were 4.3. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Houston numbers right there. Get out of here. So it's stuff like that you got to be careful when you're looking in Manor, when you're looking in Manor and you don't know much about it, right? And then the HOAs, and then what's coming to the area. It seems like it's grown a lot. I was just there last week. They're putting a lot into the growth. I don't know how much they're putting into the overall accessibility is the word. There's one road in and out, and then there's a bunch of neighborhoods that spawn off from that road. That's all it is.
What's really interesting, Ian, is if you look at Hutto, I had an article that I was going to show, but Hutto actually is adding. There was some land that they had set aside for this ballpark. There's a bunch of lawsuits. There's a lot of issues with that.
Just got approved.
They just got it back. Yeah, so the city just got it back, and now they're selling it to a development group. So I think you're seeing, honestly, I think you're seeing more development in Hutto than you are in Manor. I like Manor just because of the location in downtown. One of the properties I just sold is in Manor, but it was crazy. We listed this thing at 325, multiple offers out the doors for 1,500 square foot home. But I think more families are moving towards Hutto though, because of school. If you look at Manor's, well, no, I was looking at Del Valley as a video I did, but Del Valley's like rating is like C minus or C something like that off of niche.com. And then, but part of Manor is still Del Valley schools.
Yes. And so if you go to Hutto, part of Hutto, you've got like Round Rock schools in there, right? So that, I think that's good. I think that still has a positive stigma. A stigma? Can you use positive stigma? Let's just say yes.
I don't know if I've ever heard it in a positive way, but I mean, you can go with it.
I mean, it's a bias, right? So yeah, I think Hutto is also positioned well for a lot of things. So you have access to 130, so you can still hop on over to the Tesla factory or the airport, and you can get there. If you're near 130, you can get there in less than 30 minutes. If you do the speed limit or greater, which everyone does. The speed limit on that road is 85 miles an hour. So that's awesome. And then you have all those manufacturing companies along the side, including the new Samsung, Applied Materials. You just have everything. You have the private airport, right? So if you're a Musconaut and you want to hop into the airport, you can just drive right on over there. And then it's also easy access down 79 to all the fun stuff that's in Round Rock, such as like the Dell Diamond. So if you like baseball, Hutto has stuff, right? And it has proximity to stuff. Manor has nothing. They just got a Walmart. I'm like, what the heck, man?
Del Valley, though, I know we're not talking Manor. Del Valley is getting an HEB. They have 15 acres there.
Yeah, no. Del Valley is going to hit the J curve for growth. I feel like that's a sleeper hit right there.
Well, I'm glad I did a video on it. What's hysterical, Ian, is, man, we asked you about Hutto, and you just went after it, man, like full throttle against
all of it. You know, it's more that I was going not against Manor, but I've never seen the appeal. It's usually people that are so concerned about the sales price and know nothing about the tax rate or the HOAs or any of the other stuff.
Right.
Like all my friends bought in Manor, so I want to get in Manor. It's like, okay, whatever, fine.
Real quick, Alan, I want to ask this question. What are your questions exactly about Avery Ranch?
That's a good
versus
way
our thoughts.
Good way to pose that or to rephrase that, because everyone has thoughts. Do you want the good ones or the bad ones?
Yeah.
I have another question
right now. Good.
I have lots of thoughts. One of them being, no, I have a question because I was thinking about it actually, and lately I've gotten some new clients that bought last year or bought sometime last year or 2021, and now they're realizing that they don't like what they bought, either because now they have to go back to work.
I've had that.
And they don't like the commute or they don't like the school, whatever it is. And now they're wanting to sell and buy something new. So what are y'all doing there?
Sorry. I'll look at Joe. Sorry.
Joe, what questions do you have about Treviso? Other than my thoughts. Phil, sorry, Sarah, we cut you off. Go ahead.
It's okay. Clients that bought in 2020, 2021, that now are like, oh, I'm here. I don't like it. Now I have to go back in the office. Commute's too bad. I don't like the school, or I just don't like the area. We're trying to get a house and now we're here. So, and now they're wanting to they want to buy again.
I love that because I actually had a listing appointment last week. And it was that exact situation, that scenario where they bought it. Realtor was like, didn't actually know what they were doing, but they were rushed into the situation. So they bought a house, and that's great. But now they want to buy in another area that they actually had their eyes on, but was out of reach before. So here's where it gess difficult for anyone in this situation. If you're looking at there's a declination of market. Let's just say that is real. You're looking at a declining market. Not declining is a bad word.
Acceleration.
Recovering market.
You're looking at a balance Let's call it balance. Well, days on market are long. That's really where I'm going with this. So days on market are long, and you want to be able to sell so that you can purchase the next thing, right? So what are your options? Like, one of the options is one of those companies that'll give you the cash up front, let you buy the house, then you're buying it with cash. And, realtors, Jeremy, Sarah, and I can all work with you on that if that's what you'd like to do. But then now you have this house that's sitting on the market. So now you have to sell it in 6 months. And if you're in a pressure situation,
how much is the home?
560-ish,
No,
570.
pass. Go ahead. I was just if I wanted to buy it.
I mean, it's all redone and everything on the inside. It's really nice, actually, large yard and all that. So, but to be able to transfer neighborhoods, in most cases, when people want to transfer neighborhoods, they're going up in price, not down. And so that's where it gets interesting, because they need to leverage the equity in the home that they probably paid more for and haven't paid down yet. That's where it gets tough. And I'm not saying that's the situation with these clients, but that's the conversation with anyone who moved and now they're like, okay, well, we made a mistake. Not a mistake. We got where we needed to get, and now we want to move again for schools or whatever. And it's a little more challenging. It's a little more. It takes a lot more thought and a lot more education to get that part done well.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're trying to sell and get that equity, it's like, also, like you said, it's like timing that. When, should I wait till the summer to try to like leverage and get more money, or should I
you're
sell
going
now?
against everybody else?
Right.
Same
Exactly.
Sorry.
It's like, try to get more money, or then when we try to buy, like now we're going to be multiple offers and try to get there. And then that might be higher. So, I mean, that's really where your all's expertise comes in play. I don't.
Yeah. I think it's tough if you bought last year or even into 2021. I think you have a better shot. Well, it depends on when you bought in the year, right? If you bought at the end of last year, like in December, and you're like, oh man, already. I mean, that's a month. Well, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, like, I'm looking at the house I personally bought. I just lost like 8 trees in my backyard. And that was the reason I bought this damn house, is all the trees. And I go, maybe I want to move somewhere else in High Point. I mean, in Dripping Springs. I don't want to tell you where I live. Sarah, we don't live in the same neighborhood anymore. I live somewhere else.
Now you're telling people where I live.
Yeah. Parton Ranch. We live in Parton Ranch.
Reunion Ranch.
Reunion Ranch. Yeah. We live in Circle C still. Psych. I didn't leave Boston. Okay, Ian, what are your thoughts, Ian?
On what, man? We were shopping not last week. Yeah, we were in Vegas last week. We were shopping the week before, my wife and I, for our next primary. And I'll just say it was not, we didn't feel good about it. Just what we found compared to what we wanted and the prices. And I mean, we're seriously considering, like, if we get into that position where we're ready, like I'm seriously, like, that's where we're at, right? But if we get to the position where we're actually submitting the offers, none of them, maybe one of them, we'll see, are going to be at list. That's just my perspective today, in the moment.
Ian and Sarah, I met with the vice president. I'm talking to you, not the rest of the people here. Okay. Right. I know they're there. They can hear me. You should be quiet. So I met with the president of a very big company 2 weeks ago, and we talked about some neighborhoods they have coming up. And, in New Braunfels, I bought an investment property that's done very well. Yep. We have opportunities if you want to work with a builder that I know very well. I'm only telling you, nobody else in this channel, about this new neighborhood in New Braunfels. We might be able to buy investment properties then. I'll email you. Nobody else.
I heed your words.
But like, I think it all depends on what people's idea for an investment is. Like, you're looking to buy a new home to live in. If you're looking at it as an investment, there's some opportunities as well. Yeah,
we're looking for a primary that has like everything we want. We intentionally made concessions as we were moving around, right? But we're looking for something that's going to be, we're going to stay there for the next 10 years, and then any other investments we acquire later, acquire without moving.
Tax rate, Ian, on this.
You got to tell us,
Yeah. Ian and Sarah is less than 2.25%.
Solid. Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
in New
yeah, yeah.
Braunfels.
In
Yeah,
New
it's
Braunfels,
new.
yeah.
So it's new in
New,
New Braunfels, which is a
Yep.
hot, still a hot area.
still super hot area, under
Near the
400,000.
lake.
Under
How close is it
400.
to Canyon Lake? Great schools, according to greatschools.org.
Yeah, you're about less than 20, about 20 minutes. 20 minutes to Canyon Lake.
That's awesome.
Less than that, actually. Less than that.
Camp,
Yeah,
Camp
you're about 15
Fimfo,
minutes.
If you're watching this and you've been to Camp Fimfo, that place is incredible. If you have kids or a camper, or you just like to, chill and go to a place like that, that's Camp Fimfo. Look it up.
So I'm going to end it here. I got a really great story to tell people in about 2 weeks when I'm allowed to tell it, but it's all about a massive scam that's happening in real estate.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait to be able to share that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how I know about it, but
Yeah.
I can tell you that I know about it. So there we go. Sarah, thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Look at Joe. Fimfo with an F. Fimfo.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, info.
It's always
yeah.
a pleasure, Sarah.
All right. We'll see y'all again. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Ian is going to create some new merch for us. So we're going to have merch out there.
I was actually going to surprise you with it, but it hasn't come in the mail yet. That's a whole conversation.
All right.
Conversation.
We're going to get Sarah's face on there with a pair of glasses, and we got it.
That's another surprise. You're just ruining all my surprises, man. You're ruining them all. Come on.